to it. What does this mean, Emily? Does that mean that the 150,000 green cards that we are supposed to get it, we are not going to get it?
No, we did get those 150,000 extra, and they were taken into consideration when setting these dates for November as well. So even taking into that consideration that we have more employment-based green cards available this year than we've ever had before, supposedly between USCIS and the Department of State, they already have enough applications in process to utilize all of those 290,000 green cards, and have to move those dates back because of it for EB3.
Well, we'll come to know how many applications are pending, especially we only have until August data, or we'll update it once the data is updated from USCIS, which probably is going to come in the month of November. Emily, now, since a lot of people are file 485 applications and are contemplating to file 485 application, I want to discuss some of the options that are available for the people though. If the priority dates are retrogressed though, will people still get the EAD and advance parole approved if it's pending?
Yes, the good news is the EAD and AP is not related to the priority date at all. You're qualified for that simply because you have a pending 485. So regardless of the date, retrogressing or not, you're still eligible to receive that EAD and AP. If yours is pending now, it will still be processed under the normal processing times, and you can continue to renew that EAD and AP until you actually receive your green card when your date becomes current again.
Can I use my EAD when the dates have moved back, Emily?
So you can. Let's assume that your I-140 petition has been approved. And there's no issues in your case that might cause the 485 to be denied. You can decide to utilize that EAD. However, if you later want to go back to EB2 and need to refile the 485 for that, depending on your situation, once you've moved on to EAD, that eliminates that option of going back to EB2 by refiling a 485.
But I can still file the interfiling of the EB2, which we're going to discuss later on. Can I use advance parole when the dates move back, Emily?
Yeah, same there. So as long as your I-140 is approved, it is safe to use your advance parole and be in adjustment of status versus continuing your underlying non-immigrant status, even if the dates move back.
Will I still get the biometrics appointment, Emily, if I did not get it since the dates moved back?
You should. Now, they definitely are going to be working more on 485 applications for those where the final action date is current. It doesn't mean that they completely stop processing of the 485s for where the date is not current. They will still go through the normal process up until the point where they can approve it. Obviously, they cannot approve it at that point. So you should still get biometrics if you haven't already.
Emily, can I, will I be still called for the 485 interview when the priority dates are moved back?
Generally, no. USCIS has, in the last several years, been pretty good about not calling people in for an interview unnecessarily if they cannot actually approve the green card at the end of the interview. Sometimes they do, but for the most part, you should not expect to be called in for an interview when your date is not current.
Emily, my priority dates have moved back. Can I switch the company by using the AC21 485J supplement?
Yes, again, if your I-140 is approved, even though your date retrogresses, you still have the option. You're still eligible for AC21 as long as your 485 has been pending for 180 days and the new job is similar to the job that you were originally sponsored for.
Can I still get the green card since the priority dates have retrogressed after November 1st?
No, so if your priority date, your final action date is current now in October, but it's retrogressing in November, if your application is not approved before the end of October, it will actually be put on hold. They won't be able to grant the green card to you after November 1st until your final action date becomes current again.
Here is $1 million question that comes to me. A lot of questions comes to me, Emily, is that if my EB2 has advanced right now, my EB3 has gone back, should I interfile or should I file the 485 all over again?
Right. Yeah, and it really depends on what's going on with the I-140. So if you're in a situation where you filed a downgrade I-140 and EB3 last October. If that I-140 is approved, the downgrade, that means you have 2 approved I-140s, one in EB3 and one in EB2. That gives you the option of interfiling, assuming that the job offer, you have not left that company. If you've already used AC-21 and moved on, you're not able to interfile your EB2 I-140 because that job offer is no longer there. But if the job offer is still there and both I-140s are approved, you do have the option to interfile rather than filing a new 485.
Can I file a new 485 if the I-140 is still pending on the EB3 and 485 is pending? While one 485 is pending, can I file another 485?
Yeah, there is no restriction on that. I get a lot of questions. People are very concerned about having 2 485s pending. Some attorneys say that's not a good idea or you can't even do it, but there's no restriction there. So as long as after you filed that first 485, you continued to maintain your non-immigrant status, so you and your family members are still in your regular non-immigrant status that you were in prior to filing that 485. If you now want to proceed in EB2, you can file a second I-485 under the EB2 category with your EB2 I-140 approval. That does put you in the back of the line. Everything starts over, new EAD, AP, new biometrics, new medical exam. Your processing will be delayed by the processing times, but at that point, then you would not be subject to the EB3 retrogression.
Emily, my I-140 is approved, but my 485 is stuck with the Texas Service Center, which is a nightmare. Now, since my EB2 has moved forward, should I interfile or should I file the 485 all over again?
That is a great question. I would consider filing another 485 if there's a chance it might go to the National Benefits Center and get me out of Texas.
If I'm living in Texas, can it still go to National Benefits Center?
It can. So there are 3 filing locations for the 485 when it's a standalone 485, and they're all lock boxes. You don't actually file at a service center. You file it at the lockbox based on where you are. Then that lockbox distributes the applications to the various service centers. So we see a lot of standalone 485s for employment-based going to the National Benefits Center, even if someone's in Texas.
What do you do, Emily, practically if the 485 is still pending in EB3, I-140 is approved? Would you go for filing a fresh 485 under EB2 or would you do interfiling? It will be individual choice, guys. There are some advantages, there are some disadvantages. The main disadvantage definitely is the amount of money that you spend on it. But you may be fine to file the 485 under EB2. What if the I-140 is not approved and my premium processing gets rejected or my employer is not willing to file if premium processing and now the priority date is current? Should I file a fresh application or should I still fight on the EB3?
I think, again, it's going to be a personal choice, but there are definite advantages to starting over and filing a fresh 485, mainly that you get out of the Texas Service Center, possibly get into the National Benefits Center, and you no longer have to deal with trying to upgrade that EB3 I-140 to premium processing or waiting forever to get that approved. So there's certainly some benefits there, but of course with all of this, there's no guarantee that one way is going to be better than the other. You just kind of have to make the decision based on your personal situation.
Emily, on the age-out question, especially the children who are becoming 21, if the final action date is current, and their I-140 is approved, since the dates move back, are they locked? Did they lock the age since the I-140 is approved and the final action date has become current and now it's moving back?
Yes, so once the final action date becomes current just once and the I-140 is approved and you filed the 485 and it's pending, that child's age is locked, even if the dates retrogress and even if it takes 5 years for the final action date to become current again, the child's age will be locked at 21.
What if the final action dates have become current, but my I-140 is not approved? Is my child locked under the CSPA or is he not locked?
Not locked, because the I-140 has to be approved in order to lock in the age. So that would be a good situation.
But
for
it is
looking at
current,
premium.
final action date is current in October. Still, I won't get locked in because my I-140 is not approved.
Correct.
Any other questions that you have, Emily? Let's take some of the questions on there. A lot of people are asking about the projections of the priority date and green card. We have data that is there for the 2020 until August. They have given the data though. After that, they didn't. Actually, in August we only got until June. So. Until August we got it, but so we still did not get it for July, August, and September. We don't have it. The data is only until June, though. The amount of green cards, though. When we looked into it, the amount of total employment-based green cards pending is only 288,000. So they don't have enough cases pending. They have adjudicated a lot of applications. So are you contemplating that the USCIS and the State Department, because of their inefficiencies, they're already estimating that they're going to waste some of the green cards, Emily?
I absolutely think they're going to waste them again this year.
We need to keep a lot of pressure, guys. So if you need to keep on writing letters to the congressman, which we're going to draft soon, so please keep that pressure. Any other questions that you may have on the issue of the priority date, Emily?
I think some people had asked, once it retrogresses, how long might it take until it becomes current again? It's obviously, you all know, it's very hard to predict these accurately. We say over and over again that we've gone wrong a million times. The best thing we can look at is the dates for filing for November. For EB3, the date for filing even went back to January 22nd, 2012. That suggests that the final action date might only move a week forward this entire fiscal year from now all the way till September. And that's, again, already taking into account the extra 150,000 green cards. Now, what it doesn't take into account is we don't know how much spill across there might be from the rest of the world. And I think they don't assume that that's going to happen until later in the year when they see how many people are filing for rest of the world in those categories. And again, with the EB2 category, with the filing date being January 2013, that would suggest that we're going to move forward in the EB2 final action date a little over a year. So it should be moving forward 1 month at a time for the foreseeable future, it looks like.
Emily, Charlie has come up with this word called documentarily qualified. I don't know where he got that word. Saying that if the final action date is current, if the I-140 is approved, if the medical has been done and the biometrics are done, so practically their number will be locked. Do you believe in that story?
I don't think the number's locked in. No.
He is. Everybody speaks about documentarily qualified. Yeah, we don't believe the statement he made. What he said at that particular kind of statement was that when the USCIS officer looks into all these things and then he thinks it's documentarily qualified, that's practically approving the green card. So I don't think so that you'll be locked in and your number will be locked in unless your green card is approved. That's the only thing that we can. There are very rare scenarios we see that people got after the priority date has become current, their green cards get approved. Very rarely that too when the USCIS officer forgot to press certain buttons. But if you did not get the green card, your chance of getting the green card once the priority date moves back is almost nil.
Couple questions on how exactly to do the interfiling. Do you have any tips on that? Interfiling
the medicals. We're going to give a link at the bottom of the things, guys. If you still want to interfile your medical, which if you have not done it, we'll put a link at the bottom of it of this video so that you can do interfile.
And how about interfiling the EB2 I-140 approval?
I would. If you want to do the EB2 interfiling, I definitely you have to go through with your lawyer. You can't. You have to go with your employer. It is not your I-140 that you can interfile. And the other thing is that it's a judgment call, Emily, because we don't know how the priority dates move. Sometimes EB3 moves, sometimes EB2 moves. So I would speak with the lawyer to see if I want to interfile the EB2. Or file an entire 485 application. That's a judgment call that I will do. It's not as easy as the medicals where you just interfile. The officer will take a put the interfile into it. When you interfile from EB3 to EB2, it takes a lot of time for the USCIS to process it and input it into their system. They have to change a lot of things. Unlike medical, they just put it in the file, which they are going to say, okay, medical's received. That's not how it works with EB2. So I want to be very careful when people are interfiling, changing from EB3 to EB2. It's not that it's illegal. I just want people to be careful on when they do it. I would definitely discuss with your company's lawyer to make sure that you're okay, they are okay with it, and they have to do it. You cannot do the interfile by yourself because I-140 does not belong to you. Anything else, Emily?
I think those are the main questions I've seen so far.
Thank you, guys. If you have any questions, we do have a daily conference call. The link will be provided at the bottom, and we do. You can make a consultation with any of us to discuss. Me, Emily, or any of our colleagues in our office. We'll put a link there for you guys to make an appointment. Thank you for tuning in.